Anyway, I want to introduce Matt. To those of you that don't know him, Matt Ossenfort was elected to the Montgomery County Executive in November, gathering more than 72% of voter support. At 32, he's the youngest sitting county executive in New York State. Matt was born and raised in Amsterdam, attended Amsterdam City Schools, and is a lifelong resident of Montgomery County. He holds a bachelor's degree in political science and history from the University at Albany and is currently finishing his MBA from SUNY Empire State. Matt's love of civic involvement led him to the New York State Assembly, where he worked for various members in different capacities. In 2007, he became Chief of Staff to Assemblyman George Amador, which enabled him to work primarily in Montgomery County. Matt's commitment to the people of Montgomery County has shown itself through the countless hours he donates to various community organizations and agencies, most notably as president and the founding member of Montgomery County's chapter of Habitat for Humanity. Before being elected as Montgomery County's first executive, Matt worked as senior legislative analyst with the New York State Senate. Matt was recently married to Melissa, and they currently live in Amsterdam, New York. I'd at this point like to introduce Matt Ossenfort. Oh, I don't know what this thing is. I thought this was a remote for a TV. I was pressing the buttons. I hope that's okay.
Easy. Thanks, Mark. Okay, before we start with the microphone, if I speak loud, can everyone hear me? Okay. I think my family will attest to the fact that I'm a bit of a loudmouth. So, first I'd like to thank the Winner's Circle for hosting us. From what I gathered, the food was great. I'm going to try to keep this moving along because I understand everybody's got busy schedules. We have some big key points that I want to hit here today. You're going to see some of it's in the slides, and I'm going to talk about some of our other issues. But we are putting this together in a video presentation because it's important. I see a lot of familiar faces here, but our message needs to go further than that. So we're going to be putting together a video presentation and we can get this up online. If anyone would like to share their thoughts on the speech, provide a testimonial after, we'll be doing that up here. So thank you for having me. I'm incredibly excited to have this opportunity. We've been working tirelessly, and I can tell you there's been no shortage of work ethic over the last 2 months. And this is an opportunity to talk to you about not only what we've been doing for 2 months, but what we see the future of the county and providing that vision. Where are we going? And you're going to see some familiar themes here, but it's important to know that so we can stay focused on these goals. So we're going to run through this PowerPoint. At any point, if you have a question, please don't be shy. Raise your hand. I'd be happy to answer it. We will do questions at the end if you prefer. So here we go. This is, and how exciting is this? The first state of the county with our new form of government. I'm a big believer in the fact that now we have someone, me, day to day, running our operations and providing that steady hand for not only our employees, our department heads, the public, for legislators. It's nice to have somebody to go to who's been working on these issues every day. So I'm very excited. I think this is a heck of a moment in history to be a part of. So if I can just get this right, there we go. As Mark said, we have some elected officials here tonight. This is our first Montgomery County legislature, minus Roy Diamond. I was going to try to Photoshop him in there, but we didn't get a chance to get that done. But I think we have a great group. They're really, we've heard a lot, and a lot of times in politics you see back and forth, and you think with a new charter that's vague, and there's some room for interpretation when it comes to powers, authorities, duties, and all that stuff. I got to say, we've worked very well together. The discussions we've had have been constructive. They've not been destructive. And we're working together. There's been issues we've disagreed already, but we're still treating each other well and working together, which is nice. So if we could have the members of the legislature just stand up, please. Give them a round of applause for all the hard work they've been doing. Appreciate you guys coming out today, supporting the local chamber. Our regional chamber of commerce, and you'll hear this word quite a bit today, has been doing a great job. We're actually looking at some initiatives right now behind the scenes about how we can partner with tourism and some other things. So we're very excited about that. There's a couple other folks I'd like to recognize three gentlemen that I am proud to say that I know, and I'm proud to say are colleagues. That would be Supervisor Ed Bishop from the town of Mohawk, Mayor Julius from the city of Johnstown, and Mayor Dayton King. So if we could just give them a hand quick. We are no longer operating within our borders of Montgomery County. It is just as important to work with those folks as it is our folks in the county legislature, and I appreciate you guys being here today. So, next slide, if I get this right. Oh, we're going back one. There we go. Now, we heard this a lot. I started, in the beginning of the campaign, I started hitting this, a fresh start, a fresh start. It picked up steam. And what happened? We have 7 of 9 legislators are new. We have a new county executive. We have a new form of government. We wanted the fresh start. We have it. And that is exciting. It is very exciting. We have a chance to put Montgomery County on the map in a regional, statewide basis, and I'm really excited about that. This is the opportunity we were all clamoring for when we've been through the years where many of us felt maybe we lost our way a little bit. So the fresh start is here, and we started even before January 1st, and I said during the campaign, and I said during the after in that county executive elect phase that we needed to hit the ground running, and that's exactly what we've done. So, one of the things I am very proud about, and this goes back to the legislature, we came in with a charter that was vague, needs some work, new faces, even for a lot of the department heads and staff, people were very confused about what the new situation, how the system would work, what was the process, even things as simple as putting through vouchers and stuff like that. We had to completely redesign that on an internal basis. So, we had our appointments of department heads that we needed to get through. Again, like I talked about, who has the authority to do what? And we're going to be figuring this stuff out for years to come. But right now, that commitment to give each other the benefit of the doubt is there. And I would like to say that we did achieve a smooth transition. I like to joke with folks, and I started to feel like the new government was almost like back in 2000 when we were turning the millennium, everybody was going out and buying water. Well, guess what? We didn't have that. The sky didn't fall. Government kept working, and I think it's working better than it ever has before. The next issue, and I'm going to have to take a sip of water before this one, is we started right away on our solid waste. Now, excuse me, that die has been cast before this new government took office. When Otsego County decided to get out of MOSA. Well, MOSA is dissolving, and we need to figure out what our short-term solid waste strategy is. Now, I understand this isn't a sexy issue. This isn't something that's going to get you all excited, but I tell you, it gets me excited, unfortunately, to my wife's chagrin. Because this is a 7-figure issue for us. We're dealing with post-closure management, which is going to be millions of dollars. We're dealing with who's going to run the transfer stations that we will own on May 1st this year. $1 million issues. And we need to confront that divide of, are we going to do this ourselves? Are we going to let the private sector do that? I'm very proud to say that I think we started off this solid waste issue and the working through what the best thing for the taxpayer is very well. Again, we partnered with Fulton County. We have what I'd like to think is a landmark intermunicipal deal. Here we have 2 counties finding a situation where we can work together and it benefits both counties, and we got the deal done. Now, that was the easy part. Now we're working at, okay, what are we going to do with these transfer stations? And we've been working very hard on that. On March 10th, there will be a special meeting of the legislature in which we will present all this information. This is going to be right up to March 10th. March 6th, we're getting our RFPs back for the public-private partnership when it comes to leasing these facilities. So we're going to be changing on a day-to-day basis what our strategy is moving forward. So that's something to stay tuned to. It's going to, like I said, it's a $1 million issue, and it's something that we really need to work on. Also, I wasted no time getting our contracts going. Starting to negotiate those. I'm not sure. We have a number of bargaining units in Montgomery County. All of their contracts were up. That's more uncertainty for the future moving forward. So while some of my days feel like I never get out of meetings, it's important because we wanted to make sure we started off on the right foot. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when I talk about our workforce later. But we've also taken steps to modernize the county, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But my point here is we didn't sit around, we didn't waste time. We're hard at work every day. I'm very excited that we have some of our department heads here today to be supportive. This was at our first team meeting, I like to call it. I like to call it our Montgomery County leadership team. These are the folks that are shaping our organizational culture on a daily basis. And my grandmother would be happy to know, just like we did in our family, we did 1, 2, 3 pierogi for the photo, and we actually got some smiles. So that was a good thing. But if we could just recognize briefly, if the department heads could stand up, and some of our staff here could stand up, I want to thank you for the hard work that you've been doing and working with me as we've gone through this transition. So thank you, guys. Come on, stand up. And I'd also like to thank our acting county executive. Should I have a major issue, Lucille will be here to steer the ship, and I feel completely comfortable with her here. So I'm going to try to keep moving because, as you can see, I could probably talk forever. The way I see this moving forward, and maybe one of the areas that we've lost our way in the past, is opportunities have presented themselves, but we weren't ready. We weren't ready to take advantage of them. And that's what we're trying to do. You're going to see that's what this speech is about today. It's hitting the ground running, and it's also being prepared for opportunity. And I just love this quote: success always comes when preparation meets opportunity, and that's couldn't be more true. Now, I'm going to take this smile into a very serious discussion of our finances. Take a look at this graph. Would you say this is a stable or an unstable picture? These were the tax rates prior to the equalization and everything that happens after the county does their budget since 2001. As you can see, up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, over the years, and again, I think it's part of the system that we had, you had chairmen rotating, a different one every year with different priorities, one's from this side of the county, one's from that side of the county, and there wasn't that smooth, stable financial environment. And I think we can do better than this. And one of my goals is that moving forward, we start to see this level out. And this was, when we put this together, it really was an eye-opener, and I wanted to share it with you. So what are we going to do? What is our game plan? Obviously, we don't have all the specifics now, and even if I wanted to give them to you today, I wouldn't have the time. But I wanted to let you know my guiding principles when it comes to our county's finances. I believe we need to get our fiscal house in order. That's why we're working on a 5-year plan with our county treasurer, Sean Bowerman, and our department heads. We want to balance our budget, stabilize the tax levy and the fund balance. Again, we don't want this. We want to take steps over this 5 years to balance our budget. We've heard about what the state comptroller said recently, and there's no doubt about it. We've been using fund balance to pay for reoccurring expenses. And we need to, so there isn't a big disruption in our county workforce and the vital services the county provides. We need to, over time, bring that back into balance. And that's going to be one of our goals. And as well as stabilize that fund balance. And one of our goals in the regional business plan that we'll talk about in a little bit is state lower taxes, but at the very least right now we need to live within the tax cap. And also another exciting guiding principle of our budget is to ensure that we're incorporating the 6-year capital plan, which is a big part of our charter and is in our charter, into that budget. So these are the guiding principles. This is what we are going to work towards every day when we're doing our finances. In March 15th, I'll be providing a somewhat brief report, per the charter again, to the county legislature. But you're going to see the meat and potatoes of the financial plan when I deliver the executive budget a little later this year. Right now, Sean's still closing out accounts. We're starting to get a better idea of where we stand, but we're gonna detail that much more. And frankly, I want to keep this a little lighter. I don't want to get into too many numbers. But before we do, I want to talk about the elephant in the room that we always hear everyone talking about, but I'm not sure everyone knows exactly what we mean. And just to get your attention, I had our county treasurer put together these numbers, and this is actually an inspiration of when I watched John's presentation up in Fulton County. These particular mandates, whether they're unfunded or funded, you'll see that's going to be the debate. 2014, these particular mandates, Medicaid, pensions, corrections, community college, preschool, ed, early intervention, social services, probation, these mandates will consume 92% of our tax levy. 92%. That's amazing. You add into the factor that we give about $18 million to the various cities, towns across Montgomery County, put us in a tough spot. It's no wonder we've seen some of that instability over the years, because we're grappling with a very tough situation. But I just wanted to read this to you so everybody's clear. What exactly a mandate is. Mandates are the federal or state created programs that are required to be operated by lower level governments. Folks, we are an extension of state government. We truly are. But in New York, some of these mandates aren't accompanied with the funding necessary to implement these. Now, it's been grown over the year, but I wanted to make sure we're clear about what exactly the mandates are. Now, the issue becomes, and it's great, Sean put together, we got some big numbers. We see, wow, Medicaid, $12 million of a $100 million or so budget. This is a big deal. And it's good to have these numbers, but what I want to do is, I want to dig deeper. I've been meeting with employees. I've met with every single employee in DSS, or 99% maybe, to give myself a little wiggle room, in DSS, not only because I want to listen to the employees and see what we can do to make a better work environment, but to help me understand everything that's going on there, because like we said, this is a $12 million piece of our budgetary puzzle. So we need to start taking a closer look at this. And what we have to do, obviously we want to see how we can save money and how we can be efficient yet protect services. I'm also like to think of myself as a compassionate person. There are services that we provide to the elderly, to children in this county, that we need to protect. This isn't about slashing and burning. This is about being efficient, protecting the people that the reason government is here is to protect those most vulnerable in our society. But yet, we still have to be good stewards of the taxpayer, so we got to find that balance. And only when we understand exactly what's going on, which we don't completely right now, and I'll be the first one to admit it, is a complex web of reimbursements, mandates, non-mandates, federal funding, state funding, various different agency programs, the cooperation of nonprofits. It is a complex web of services we have. So we're going to continue to dig on this. And I'm going to keep you posted on what I come up with. I think we can have a better understanding of what exactly it means to say, okay, the state's killing us, they're giving us the unfunded mandates. That's the easiest thing to say. But what exactly does that mean? And that's where I think the conversation has ended in the past, and that's where I would like to take the conversation moving forward. All right. This is just a small taste of what I deal with at our county buildings. And you ready for another mind-boggling stat? Fact. In the annex building, the building I call home and I love to pieces, although I want to get the heck out of there, we've spent over $2 million in remediation just from the last 2 floods alone. We have a dirt basement that we have to spend all sorts of money every time it floods. Not to mention the air conditioners, the windows, the hazardous materials. The bottom line is our outdated and inefficient buildings, which are located directly in the flood zone, are costing taxpayers. Now, is it going to take an investment to correct this situation? Yes. But do we address it now and then 5, 10 years from now reap the benefits? That's what I think. Or do we just keep kicking the can down the road? Well, I'm not the type of guy that just likes to let problems go. So, I believe the time to invest is now. I think we're going to have a fierce discussion on what needs to be invested in, what will provide that return, and I'm looking forward to having that discussion. But before we have that discussion, we need to know exactly what we're working with. That's why we're working with some engineering companies and some consultants to come in and say, hey, here's your hazardous material survey. We're working with NYSERDA and National Grid to say, to look at how inefficient are these buildings exactly. I can come here and say, hey, look at it. We all know they're inefficient, but I need that data. And that's my job, is to provide you with that data. So we're working on that. Also, we've already made investments. The sheriff has been doing a great job being creative with his revenue. One of the additional things he's working on is bringing in federal inmates. We can help generate a little bit more revenue in the sheriff's office. But Dan Colon here has already made some investments in our IT infrastructure, our phones, and our 911 systems. So also, the capital plan that I discussed earlier, that will be distributed to department heads in March, and we're going to start putting together this picture of where we need to make investments. I would like to see some progress on this and see some potentially new or updated facilities by the end of my first term, which I think is a very reasonable goal, and I believe it's one with the legislature we can accomplish. The next issue, and this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I've heard all the horror stories. I've had employees complain to me. I've had, things that have been very frustrating for me. I want to change the culture of our county. I want to be known that this is a place for professionals. This is where people are accountable. They communicate. They encourage improvement. They respect one another. You treat people well. That's what I want to be known for. That professional tone. And we're working hard every day to try to make sure we change that culture. It's going to take time, but it's a priority of mine. So how do we do that? I like to think I lead by example. We take time to listen to our employees. As I said in DSS, every Thursday morning from 9 to 12, even though I have a million other things to do, I go over to DSS and listen to what about 30 employees have to say in groups of 4 and 5. And it has been a tremendous experience for both me and the employees because they feel like someone's listening to them. That's the kind of culture we're working to create. Why are we negotiating contracts? Not just because we want to get the contracts done, but because it provides stability for both labor and management. This is about letting the folks know that we care about them. We want to make the workplace a positive place. And also, through my leadership, I'm going to try to ensure we make merit-based decisions, we have a smarter evaluation process, and we have a new era of labor management relations. We've transformed the Labor Management Committee. We're transforming the things like the grievance process and all that so we can be more efficient, but also more accountable to our employees and the taxpayers. All right, here we go. We're going to hit economic development. We talked about what we're doing internally, but how can we create an environment where the private sector can thrive? Well, it all starts with working regionally. And at this point, I would like to publicly thank Dr. Swanger, as well as the folks on the CEO Roundtable, for what they've done to get us thinking regionally. It's happening. Whether you'll see in a minute, agriculture, tourism, business parks, stuff like that. We're thinking regionally now, and that is the way to go forward. So, if you haven't thanked or attended, or listened to what's been going on with the CEO Roundtable, check them out. Read what they've been doing. It's absolutely fantastic. These are some of the best and brightest in our county, and the answers to the issues we face aren't necessarily very complicated, but they've taken these issues, looked at them, provided solutions, and laid them out there, and it is fantastic. As you'll see, they've developed a regional business plan. Now, I don't pretend to be an economics professor or to be the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just a regular guy from Amsterdam, New York, who grew up in a good family and works hard. But these CEOs, boy, they put together a heck of a plan. If you have not read the regional business plan, please do me a favor. Within the next week, go online. I'll put up, Andy, where are you? Let's get a link up on our website and on our Facebook so people can go check it out. And the 6 main points, and some of the stuff I'm going to touch on, are develop large and small shovel-ready sites, training our workforce. What a tool FMCC is. What a resource we have right here in the middle of these 2 counties to train our workforce. That's obviously one of our goals. Lower the property tax burden in the region. Extend water, sewer, utilities, and broadband. Obviously, these are all things that could be a catalyst for economic success. Improve the region's quality of life. Better things to do with your family, with your children, right here in Montgomery County. And finally, market the region. And we'll get into that when we talk about branding. How we doing so far? Anybody got any questions yet? No? Got a little ahead of my slides here. So, when it comes to this regional plan, what sticks out at you? It's the regional business park. If you don't know what we've heard about it, we've talked about it, but that's a theme here. We know what we need to do. Now is the time to do it. Now's the time to start acting on this regional business park, having the discussions, making sure we're a home rule state, we're a home rule county, making sure we're communicating to municipalities why this is so important, why this is a win-win, not for local municipalities and not just the county, but the region. I don't think folks realize this site we have, this potential site in the town of Mohawk, could be the premier shovel-ready large lot rail siting site in the Northeast. That's a mouthful. Ken, thank you for that very much. But what that means is we got probably one of the best pieces of property that has a rail spur on it that can be developed in the Northeast. But what do we need to do? How are we going to prepare for opportunity? How are we going to prepare for success? Intermunicipal collaboration. And if you don't, folks aren't sure exactly what that is, this is when you bring together resources of different municipalities, for example, water, sewer infrastructure, land, that allows for revenue sharing amongst the region. Again, getting back to that regional approach. And that's what we have there. But we got to put those pieces together, have respectful conversations with the local entities to make sure that this is something we all can engage in a positive way and move forward. The positives of this regional park are unbelievable. And they will boggle your mind. This, like I said, this isn't just a premier spot in Montgomery County. This is a premier spot in New York State. This could be one of the premier spots in the Northeast, folks. So as you can see, I'm pretty excited about it. And this is something we can get done. This is reasonable. We just got to work together. For those that don't know where it is, I thought we'd take this opportunity to put up the slide. See, it's just on the Fulton and Montgomery County border. It's a pretty large site. Access to the rail. Again, we'll put some of this information up on our website if you want to look at it a little more. This is another exciting, again, there's opportunities everywhere. We just need to be prepared. We've had a branding study going on, which is one of those 6 goals of the regional business plan, is to market the region. Well, guess what? We got a talented group, North Star, that has been working on this for a while. Many of you have probably filled out some of the forms and answered questions about what you think of our region. Well, all that research is coming together very soon. We're going to hit the creative stage later this year. But the exciting thing is that the final reports and a very specific 15-point action plan will be ready for us at the end of this year. So legislature, get ready. There's going to be some tough decisions. I'm going to probably be screaming and yelling, ready to invest. We got to do this. We got to do this. You might have to hold me back a little bit because we need to stay within our budget. But this is going to be a big discussion for us come budget time, because we have this issue here in Fulton Montgomery region where in different state programs, federal programs, some were part of the capital region, some were part of the central New York. Well, the days of trying to get into somebody else's territory, I think, are over. Let's stand up, be proud, and say we are Fulton and Montgomery. We have a lot to offer. This is what you want to come have a good time in the Fulton Montgomery County region. Guess there's a lot to do here. This is what it is, and it's not just things like tourism and identity, but it's also targeted outreach to site selectors and companies trying to get people to invest in Montgomery County. So it's like the old saying goes. This is something my mother taught me when I was very young. Is if you don't believe in what you're doing, you don't love what you're doing, how do you expect other people to get on board? I think you can feel that I genuinely love what I'm doing. I genuinely love this region. The thing that we need to change is how we look at ourselves. I talk to folks who look at, say, our golf course, or say, some of the other economic development things and sites and things to do, the lake and everything, and say, wow, what a nice region. Yet I hear people within our community tearing each other apart. Those days got to end. We got to believe in ourselves. It's important. It's not just an easy headline or an easy quote. We need to start believing in ourselves, folks. And I know a lot of people in this room do. That's why you're here. This is more of a message for the folks that are going to watch this online and are going to start seeing this stuff, is get on board. There's a lot of good stuff going on here in Montgomery County. So we're going to work on this branding study. Andy Santillo is probably going to kill me by the time it's done, because we're going to work him pretty hard, and this is something that he's going to really focus on. But we're going to have a laser-like focus on this 15-point action plan. And it's all going to be out there. We're going to make sure we communicate with folks about how it's progressing. But I'm very excited about this initiative. Now, our Economic Development Director, many of you know here, is Ken Rose. Ken has been doing a fantastic job. He's been leading the way on economic development for many years. There's a whole host of things going on. Probably could have spent my entire speech on this slide. But here's some highlights. Right now we have the Hampton Inn and Suites completion this year, which is the hotel facility in Amsterdam. As many of you know, we need more amenities, and this is an exciting opportunity. We're also updating our county hazard mitigation grant and the county agriculture and farm protection plan. The canalway improvements are getting done. We're looking at regional economic development when it comes to agriculture with a fund, again, a regional approach. Let's work together with Schoharie County, with Fulton County, and Montgomery County when it comes to agriculture. Just even 2 days ago, I've had some interesting conversations about creating an online marketplace for our farmers and agricultural producers in Montgomery County. So that's an exciting thing. Now this is another one that's not big, it's not 7 figures yet, but this is something I'm excited about. We're seeing a new industry cluster in Montgomery County that's just taking off. I think there's tremendous potential, and we're looking at, actually, believe it or not, a distillery in the town of Florida, and we're looking at, I believe, another one on the way for Fort Plain, and believe it or not, Montgomery County farmers are growing hops. I dream of the day I could have a beer that was grown and brewed in Montgomery County. I mean, wouldn't that be something? So, and this is an industry that's taking off. I hate to, really talk about drinking beer, but I love craft beer, and there's a lot of people out there. It's an emerging market, and it's exciting. It gets, and we talk again about pride. Montgomery County grown. I mean, imagine that day where you're looking at a bottle of beer or whatever it may be, and you know that it was made right here. I think there's a certain level of pride that comes with that. So I wanted to include that on there because that's a little tidbit that most people are unaware of. All right, here's the big elephant in the room, folks. There's been a lot of talk about the casino gaming, and I wanted to just be very blunt, as many of you know I am, about this issue. First of all, yes, Montgomery County Legislature, Town of Florida, the City of Amsterdam have passed resolutions regarding casino gaming. Yes, we have a site that is generating interest from developers and some top-notch professionals. Yes, this process will be moving forward and you will continue to see headlines about casino gaming. But let's be clear here. We are not putting our economic development eggs in the casino basket. It could happen, it could not happen. A lot of it is out of our control. We did what we needed to do. We said we're open to it. Now let's let the process go through. Let's see how this works out. But let's temper our emotions here. This is not the end-all, save-all. It could be a great thing, but let's make sure we're keeping a level head throughout this process. There's an issue that's very passionate to me, and I know we're kind of, hopefully this doesn't seem too disjointed, but we're going from economic development to what I like to call, or how I like to say, putting people first. Now, as you can see, these are some all too familiar images in Montgomery County. Devastating. I mean, the issue, the way the personal relationships that I've had with flood victims, and to know what they've been going through, not just losing their homes, but the psychological toll of going through a flood, coming back, building back stronger, having it happen again. It's devastating communities. It's devastated Fort Plain. Fort Plain's fighting back, and Fort Plain has a lot of heart, a lot of character. But, folks, there's something going on here. Why is this happening so much? What can we do about it? Well, this is, during the campaign, I used my words collaboration and cooperation. Well, it does not apply anymore to the issue of being prepared and resilient when it comes to natural disasters. We are working a great deal with everyone, federal, state, and local government officials. Programs like New York Rising, we've had some discussions there. Maybe we can, there's $9 million coming into Montgomery County. How can we spend it wisely to be more prepared? Nonprofit organizations like the Red Cross, the Fulmont Long-Term Recovery Committee, which is a group of dedicated volunteers that spend countless hours just trying to help their neighbors deal with the recovery from the floods. As well as emergency management officials, local police and fire, faith-based organizations. I left out, I wanted to specifically mention DPW. I've tended to give DPW some grief publicly over the years, but over the last couple of months, but I gotta say, our Commissioner Paul Glaber has always stepped up. They're actually digging out, I believe, the Schoharie Creek as we speak, trying to make sure that we're prepared, doing flood remediation. But this really is a collaboration. You have all these entities that are working on being prepared, whether it's sheltering, whether it's some of the waterways and stuff like that. Everybody's kind of working together. Just today, later today, with the senator, I believe the assemblyman, the Red Cross, we have a community resiliency forum where we're listening to the needs of the community. Where can we help? We're forming committees, volunteer committees, sheltering committees. A lot of our sheltering across the county isn't where it needs to be, if there at all. This is a big deal. We need to be ready. When I'm in charge, I want to be the guy who said, you know what, we're going to do everything we can to try to prevent loss of life and loss of property. Also, more exciting than this, which I'm thrilled, because I always said we could treat the symptoms, but what's the real problem here? And I think it lies within our regional watershed system. And there is a very in-depth, high-price study going on that Corey Nellis has been engaged with and keeping me up to speed, that is hopefully going to shed some light onto this, because that's where I think the biggest question lies, is what is going on in our watershed where we're getting these types of floods over and over and over again. And that's what the people out there want us to figure out, frankly. We can treat the symptoms all we want, but let's get at the problem, and let's look at it. Wherever you stand on climate change, and this is coming from a Republican, we all got to admit something's going on here, folks. And let's take a closer look at it and be prepared to move forward. Now, I got to say, one of the biggest blessings I've had since being in office is that handsome gentleman right there, Mr. Jeff Smith. I mean, when you talk about giving someone a task and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt it's going to be done before you even think about it being done, that's Jeff Smith, one of the most well-respected men in the community. It is an absolute honor, and we are lucky to have him. Let's just hope we can keep him for years to come. And if you could just take a quick second to give Jeff a round of applause. I'd really appreciate it. All right, this is another issue that is very near and dear to my heart. I know it's a little, we're kind of going from topic to topic here, but this is something we're addressing right away. This quote has stuck with me over the years, and I think it's true. And it essentially says, you can judge your community, not even just your nation, but Montgomery County, by the way you treat your animals. And I am so sick and tired of going to other places and hearing about these puppy mills and the animal abuse and all this stuff that's going on. I'm sick of it. So we're going to address it head on. And Monday morning, my first executive order will be delivered. We are creating an Animal Protection Commission that's focusing on three things. First is the puppy mills. I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but New York State has passed legislation that gives the local municipality, the county, the ability to take a look at their animal, their laws regarding puppy mills, but it's a delicate balance. We have a strong farming community in Montgomery. We want to make sure we're not hurting them. So we're going to have the commission take a look and make some recommendations. We're also going to see if there's anything we can do when it comes to animal cruelty. And the last thing, which is probably something you don't realize, but I ran into firsthand in Fort Plain. What happens when you're trying to evacuate a street or a little community pocket because you know a flood's coming, and you walk up to that door and say, all right, come on, let's go. And they say, no way, I'm not leaving my dog here. We've had a real tough time getting people out of their houses because they didn't want to leave their animals, and frankly, I can't blame them. That's one of my three. That's Mr. Diesel. Believe it or not, he puts his paws on me and he looks me straight in the eyes. And I have two others, and I'm just going to throw a quick plug out there. Both of them are shelter rescue dogs. If you can rescue, if you can go up to the SPCA, make a donation, maybe consider adopting at the SPCA. You won't regret it, I promise. If I didn't have three already, I'd have two more. So this is an issue that, this sheltering issue is something we're going to figure out. We're going to be talking about it today at the Resiliency Forum. But this isn't going, I'm going to put down the order, the executive order, but really this is going to be the labor of love for one of our legislators, Mr. Martin Kelly, who's going to chair this commission, and he's going to be the guiding force, and I can think of no better person to do this than Martin Kelly, so thank you, Martin. All right, so I've been blabbing for 37 minutes and 24 seconds. And I think we got through a lot of content. I know I skipped over some things fast, but I wanted to get you guys the idea of what the vision is, what we're working on a daily basis, where we can grow, how we can be prepared for opportunities, and there's a whole lot more information. I'd take 2 hours if I could have it, but I'm trying to keep it brief. We've taken some big steps forward when it comes to social media and our county government. I am on Twitter. Thank you, Andy Santillo. Again, another thing my wife is not so thrilled about because I'm sitting there like this at 8 o'clock at night. But we also have a Facebook page where we're updating pretty regularly. Also, some of our county departments, you might not be aware, have Facebook pages where you can get some information. It's a government page. So it's all, trying to keep it positive and informative. Our emergency management, tourism, board of elections, history, data. all have Facebook pages. Also, something else I really enjoy is doing the radio. So you can hear me on Bob Cudmore. You can hear me on WENT, WCSS. When they call and they say, Matt, will you come in? I never turn them down unless I have a previous commitment, but even in that case, it'll reschedule. So I want to be accessible to both the press, to the public, and I'm trying to get people on board to what we're doing here. And a big part of that is making sure you're putting yourself out there and explaining to people what's going on. Also, all of our legislative meetings are on YouTube. I know it's not exactly like watching House of Cards, but
Maybe it is like watching House of Cards.
but there will be some entertaining moments to come, especially budget time, I'm sure. But again, our legislative meetings, we've had some healthy debates, but I feel it's all been constructive to this point, and that's where I want to keep it. I really do. I think as long as we respect each other and treat each other well, we can go at it, but still, maintain that professional relationship. And it also means we're setting a tone for not just all these department heads, but all our employees. Our county employees look at the way we treat each other, and we need to make sure that's a positive relationship and set that tone. Also, we're updating the county website more than ever before. Also, that'll be part of the branding process, so stay tuned there. So, what did we learn today? Clearly, we got a good thing going on here in Montgomery County right now. We need to capitalize on it. We've hit the ground running. We're taking steps forward. We're preparing for opportunity. And I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but I genuinely believe this. We're working to make Montgomery County a better place to live, work, and raise a family. So I know you probably have some questions, and there's other things I would love to talk about, but I want to be respectful of your time. But that's my 2014 State of the County for Montgomery County. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen.
Are there any questions for Matt that you...
I'd be more than happy to answer them. Please don't be shy. Oh, come on. Come on. I know that you got some more forward. Are we just trying to get out of here?
No, I think you've covered it.
Nothing. We got to have at least... I'm not going to move until we get one question. No, nothing regional park, nothing like that? Well, anyway, I'm sure the press will have some questions for us. Also, just real quick, again, we're trying to get the message out about what we're doing here, how we're all a team, the positive things that are going on. We're going to be putting this into video. Like I said, if any folks, come up and do a little interview, talk about what you think about Montgomery County. We're going to get it out there, and I think it's good for people to hear, not just from me, but from others. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate that. So.
All right, I got a big mouth too. If you can do it, I can do it. I really hate following up with a guy with this kind of energy. I mean, he gave such a wonderful discussion this morning that it's incredible. So it's a little intimidating for me to follow up with him. But it's certainly encouraging to hear someone speak so passionately about the need to think regionally and of the importance of working together with your neighboring communities, because that's the only way we're going to move forward. We all agree with that, and I'm sure Matt is going to make that happen from his end of it, and I'm sure working with John, we'll see it happen in both counties. So that's a wonderful thought process, and I certainly love to hear it. And as for the regional business plan, anybody that would like to access that right now, you can go on our website. The Chamber has a link to it, www.fultonmontgomeryny.org, and you can link on or click on to a regional business plan, and you can download that as well. I also want to just remind everybody, as Matt just did, if you want to stick around and give a little testimony to how he did today, that'd be great. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming in and taking time out to give this great presentation. I'd also like to thank John Agnostopoulos and his wonderful staff for putting on a great breakfast and a great service that they provided. Let's give them a hand. And before I let anybody go, I'd also like to mention a couple of events coming up. Have your calendars out. Thursday, March 6th, we have a business after hours and a new member orientation at the 518 Grill in the Polar Plaza in Amsterdam. I hope to see many of you there. Secondly, on March 12th, the Chamber and Frontier are hosting a seminar on cloud computing at the Holiday Inn Johnstown, and this event is free for any Chamber member, so please consider both of those and put those down your calendar. So again, I thank you all for coming. Drive safely. Stick around if you want to do a short interview, and anybody that has questions for Matt, he'll be available as well. So thank you all for coming out. I think it's warmed up a little bit. Drive safely, and we'll see you next time.